Camera going.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
The
for being
duster
so
in the front.
kind. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think we do, and we're rolling, and thank you.
My
Sure.
name is Walter Inman. I was a seaman first class at the time. I was a messenger of the watch. I had the duty that morning. It was my duty to take the flag back on the stern and run it up when I heard the whistle blow at 0800. I did that. I didn't get to run it up because all hell broke loose at 6 minutes to 8. I heard an explosion over here on Port Island. A plane flew over the stern of my ship, and a big red ball on the side, and it was a Japanese flag, and he waved at me. And I said, we're at war. I can't tell the rest, it would take too long.
But tell him the guy waved at you.
The guy waved at me. The pilot waved. That's no lie.
That's where I was
Thank you,
right
too.
He was on the Pennsylvania. And then tell him your name and what you did.
Oh, my name is Bill Slater, W.K. Slater. And I was a kid, 17 years old. And I was on this Pennsylvania. I didn't know anything then, and I know less now. And all I know is I'm glad I was born in America. And there's a lot of lovely people in this country. And they've all been very nice to me. What I did here was, I was an ammunition handler. If the hoist hadn't broken down, and we were forced to go below decks to the armory and bring the shells up manually, the one bomb that hit the Pennsylvania would have hit me in the head. That's where, if I'd have been, that hoist hadn't broke down. So everything in life is luck. If I'd have left a second earlier, I wouldn't have gotten the accident, right? If that hoist hadn't broke down, I wouldn't be here. So 24 guys got killed with that one bomb. A friend of mine, that one bomb, it knocked him ass over tea kettle, you know, put a shrapnel in his knee. That afternoon, I went over to the Naval Hospital there to see him. You wouldn't recognize him as your own brother. He was burnt so badly. So.
I'd like to add one more thing. My ship was sunk in the Solomon Islands on August the 22nd, 1942. We were torpedoed by a Japanese destroyer, blew the whole stern off the ship, and that was my sleeping compartment. I just left it 2 or 3 hours before that. I was on general quarters up on the fire control, gun director. I was a third-class fire controlman at the time. That's the only reason I'm here.
Wow.
We were sunk 2 days later.
Well, thank you very much for your stories. Is this your wife here?
No, this is the wife of a survivor. She has a very good story to tell.
Okay.
Very good story.
We've got one more story.
Well, my husband was on the West Virginia.
Which was right there.
And it was kind of right near here. And he was, of course, blown off. There were 7 torpedoes hit the ship. And he was able to swim out from under the burning water. And they took him to the hospital. He saw one of the boats out there picking the boys up in the water. So he was getting up into his boat when the Japanese flew over, strafing the boys on the ground. And he was hit with a machine gun bullet. They took him to the hospital, and he regained consciousness and seemed pretty good. And they x-rayed him, didn't really see anything because there was so much terrible injuries there that they issued him a set of clothes and sent him back to duty. And he went down the South Pacific. And every time he'd run for his battle station, he passed out. They couldn't figure out what was wrong until one day he had an appendix attack, and they put him on the Solus, took out his appendix, and as he was getting over this, they x-rayed him again, and they found that he had a bullet in his heart. And so anyway, they sent him to Mare Island. I was a Navy nurse at Mare Island, and he was my patient.
It gets better.
It gets better. The punchline's coming.
So when he was going to surgery, Dr. Holman from Stanford did the surgery on him. And as he was going up, being sent to surgery, I gave him his medication. And I didn't know him just other than a patient then. And he said, well, and my name was Becky. He says, Miss Becky, if I ever get over this, will you go out on liberty with me? Well, that was one of the very first heart surgeries, so they didn't think he'd make it. You know, we were a little skeptical about it. But while he was there, I was assigned to be a special duty nurse. And when he came out of the surgery, out of the anesthesia, that was the first thing he said, we're going on liberty. And we did. We went on quite a few liberties, and he carried that bullet in his heart from December 7th until April 17th. That's when it was removed. And
She still has the bullet.
Yeah, I have the bullet. It's about that big. He lived for almost 50 years after that.
And what about the hole in the heart?
Oh, well, he always said the best thing he got out of the Navy was his nurse. And I always told him, well, when that bullet was removed, it left a hole in his heart, so I was able to fill that hole.
Very good.
So good. Yeah, we'll catch it now.
Doing the timing down for tomorrow's ceremony. We're getting the timing down for tomorrow's ceremony.
Oh, I see.
Can we get a picture with you guys? Turn around so we can get a picture of you guys. She's really, yeah, turn around there, yeah. Get close together, close together, close together, close together. Close together there.
Very smiling face there.
All right.
Cheese. I love every one of you.